There's been a lot of moves.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of
think it's been
moves thus
crazy.
far. I haven't looked at it in a minute, and it looks like, you got Le'Veon went to the Jets, Earl Thomas to the Ravens, Trey Flowers to the Lions, Nick Foles to the Jaguars, Landon to the Redskins, which sucks. Why are you going to trade in division, man? I don't understand.
Right.
You wouldn't like that if Antonio Brown went to Baltimore.
Right.
That would suck.
No, everyone from the North went to the Raiders. Perfect and Brown.
That's right. That's right. Anthony Barr is going to stay with the Vikings. They pay all that money to Kirk Cousins, man. He needs to get right because they still have a really good defense. Okay, so let's see. C.J. Mosley.
They do, but they need a better O-line to protect him and give him a chance. Cousins is good, but he's not great. He needs just more time to make shit happen.
I wouldn't disagree with that. There's this commercial.
Yeah.
It's Mike Trout.
Yeah.
I love the shirts. That's awesome.
It's so good.
What's it for? We don't know.
I think it's literally for like a energy drink or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. They've got weapons on offense. They could. I don't know about their tight end. Rudolph they could stand a little upgrade. He's not bad, but they've got weapons on offense. Their defense is great. I guess it's the line. But the year before, when they had Case Keenum, the line seemed to be all right. That guy. I don't think Case Keenum. I don't think Kirk Cousins, the second coming, but I think he's better than Case Keenum.
I feel like no one will give that kid a chance because Denver just got rid of him too.
Yeah, he didn't do good this year in Denver. He got paid that money, and then he didn't perform. He had a positive outlook going in. He's like, we're going to go get him.
Right.
Whereas it seemed like Cousins got paid all that money too, and he's like, well, we're just going to do our best.
Right. But you only gave Keenum 1 year to make something happen. You know what I mean? Now you get a new GM who worked with Flacco, and now you get Flacco? Come on.
So what's going to happen if this Flacco experiment fails? Then, though he has ownership of the team, Elway could still be sent out the door. It's been a while, man. He's the quarterback guy, and the last good quarterback decision he made was bringing Peyton Manning over after his neck surgery when he was that old. It's Peyton Manning. I get it. So it's not a huge gamble, but
right.
Come on, buddy. So you've had who? Brock Osweiler. Paxton Lynch. Yes, that was awful.
Oh,
that was a draft too.
Man, yeah.
You got Keenum now. It's not a good situation considering the guy is the most famous Bronco player, let alone a quarterback.
Right. I know that Denver fans, because I've got a buddy from college who is a huge Denver fan, stopped. He's like, I'm selling my season tickets because unless Elway's gone, I'm not dealing with him anymore.
Really?
They're just pissed
so that's the
out
way
there.
a fan feels.
Yeah, they're pissed out there.
Yeah, see, that's interesting because, I'm feeling that way as a Giants fan, but...
Right, but can you imagine being a Denver fan and hating Elway? That's not supposed to happen,
No, that would be like me hating Phil Simms or...
Right.
I don't want to say Lawrence Taylor, but that's weird.
Right.
Very weird, but... we'll see. I heard something that Elway said he thought Flacco was in his prime. For many quarterbacks, maybe in the age that he's at, maybe you would say that, but I don't think he was ever that great. He was a big guy. He had good, tools to work with because he was so big and he could throw the ball, but...
I don't know. I clearly being in the North, I hate him, and I never thought he was that big because Ben's obviously much bigger.
Yeah.
But I never thought he was that great. They won one championship with him, right? And he had plenty of tools. You know what I mean? There were always people around him. They just never could make it.
Yeah.
I feel like put it together later.
Good line. Their defense was awesome, and they had some maybe not superstars, but some good skill guys, or at least a couple.
Right.
And why is it that, Baltimore, they have 2 rings, and both those rings were with Joe Flacco at quarterback and Trent Dilfer at quarterback.
Right. That's a really good point.
They are the epitome of defense wins championships when you talk about it. Because, those, not like I want to completely diss those guys, but, they're not Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
No, right. Well, I was watching something with him and, why am I drawing a blank? Dan Marino. And Dan Marino being the greatest of all time and Trent Dilfer standing next to him with the ring on. And I'm like, oh, that's just like a slap in the face.
Isn't that? That's awful. It's like, dude, I'm so much better than... Don't get me wrong. Like, Dilfer's done some great things post his career. He has that whole Elite 11 camp for the high school kids going into college for quarterbacks.
Right.
He's a mentor for these young kids. I dig it. I'm sure he coaches some team. But... he was... That's something.
But would anybody even have cared about that stuff if he didn't win that ring?
Is he going to get in the Hall of Fame? I don't think he is. I don't think he is now. He's in there now. I don't know that he'll ever get in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think
Trent Dilfer. Yeah, that's something. That's hard, man. That would be a hard pill to swallow, to be as good as Marino was and never have the ring. Oh.
Right.
Tough.
Kick in the junk.
Yeah, I tell you. So let's see what else is going on here. Yeah, there's a lot of moves that have been made. I'm trying to find guys. Ndamukong Suh. Who's going to take Ndamukong Suh? How much money does this guy expect to get now?
Right.
More or less than that huge contract the Dolphins paid him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Gotta be less. But when you're at the Rams, you got Aaron Donald next to you. That guy just broke off some. I'm sure there's a hint of like, well, I need to get mine.
Right. Agreed.
Who's going to take that guy?
It's interesting with the Rams of kind of coming out of nowhere last year that I think that it's looked at them that they'll have the money to want to spend on people because they were in contention to win, Yeah. So if they're trying to build up that team, then so be it.
Right now, I don't know where it is currently, but when I last looked, the Colts had the most money.
Okay.
By a mile. And to be honest with you, and I had this cut, I won't go deep into it because we had long conversations when Angelo was here about the Colts. They're going to be dangerous, man. Like, the defense wasn't bad. It got better last year. They have weapons, maybe not superstars, aside from Andrew Luck, so he can get them the ball.
Right.
Their line, which they were focusing on while he was hurt and stuff, like drafting, free agent, like their line, and I bet you they do it again this year, is strong. They don't need a lot, and they have a ton of money. They're not going to spend all that money, so that the next 3 years, they're going to still have extra spillover while the cap increases, because it always increases a little bit every year.
Right.
They're in a good position right there. I don't think Ndamukong Suh would go there. I don't know that that's the type of mentality they're going to have there. But that's a team with a lot of money to spend.
Right.
So you got Ziggy Ansah. As a Giant fan, I know he's a little older, but, if we could get a deal on him, I'd love to have him. We have to have some edge pressure. We sent JPP to the Bucs last year. He had double-digit sacks for them this year. Olivier Vernon, who can't stay healthy a whole season, we sent to the Browns. I'm not mad at that. Again, he can't stay healthy for an entire season. But Ziggy Ansah would be good as an edge rusher if you can get a deal on him. What about the AFC North? Like, anybody there, you think that they lost C.J. Mosley in Baltimore?
Right.
Right? He went where? To the Packers or something or other? He went to the Jets.
Gotcha.
So,
that's interesting. And then obviously Burfict going over to Oakland. you know, the AFC North, I feel like, is pretty interesting right now. That Ravens defense isn't bad. Cincinnati's always been tough. You know, being a fan of them, I always feel like Ravens and Cincy's defense are kind of dirty of how they play. But
wait for it. Go ahead. I'm waiting. I know it's coming. Go ahead.
But, well, now I don't know if I know what you think I'm going to say, but I think almost everybody in that division needs defensive players. We're all kind of are down right now. The Browns made a ton of moves on offense, but
that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything for their defense, really, you know?
Well, I mean, they picked up Vernon from the Giants and traded away Zeitler, the guard. But they also traded the first and third round pick, including as well as Jabril Peppers, their young safety, for Odell. So the Browns defense, they've been building their defense for a long time in the draft, you know, and in free agency. So they have some guys because they've had early picks and lots of picks year in and year out. But it could make sense. I mean, who they have? The Browns have, what the hell's the kid's name that they drafted 2 years ago at defensive end? Miles Garrett, the kid from Texas A&M.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
So he's really good.
Well, truthfully, you know, maybe it always was sort of perceived, especially recently, even if they're building on it, that the Browns D hasn't been that great because their offense has sucked. So the defense is out on the field a hell of a lot more than their offense is, which is,
Very
you know,
true.
makes them tired and isn't, you know, kind of doing their job. It'll be interesting to see what happens, too, with the Browns, because where they've made all of their moves, it feels like, on offense, I think this is going to be a lot of interesting pressure for Baker Mayfield in the sense of him coming off of 1 year, right, where he did a good job. You know, and
was he the offensive rookie of the year? Or, no, I don't know.
I don't know if he was.
I think Barkley got the rookie. I can't remember.
Right.
I'm going to look it up. My producer's not here to look it up for me. That's what John's usually for. That's all good.
But he, you know, I think he did a great job for what he was working with last year. Now that you kind of add all these superstars, now what? The kind of spotlight's on the Browns right now. Is he going to be able to hold up to that? You've got two playmakers there with Landry and Odell who've already played together, you know?
Oh, yeah. And they've got a good tight end in Njoku.
Yeah.
Who, you know, they're just, I think this will be a make or break this third year. They drafted him early out of Miami. He was so his first year. There showed flashes this past year, especially as we play fantasy football.
Right.
Weeks he was on, weeks he was not to be seen.
Right.
You know, so maybe this next year, but he's definitely, he can catch the ball and move. You got Nick Chubb in the backfield, and then who did they bring over there?
They've got Duke Johnson and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt after
Kareem Hunt once he comes back, and
right, that's
and
an
honestly,
8 game.
If they're contending at the end of the season, that's going to be right when he comes back with fresh legs.
Right. So he'll have some offset with obviously good running backs, but I'm just interested to see what happens. Will he perform with the spotlight on them right now? Because all of a sudden the Browns have made, next to the Raiders, some of the biggest moves, it feels like, you know, in football. So I'm interested to see what happens with that.
They definitely, it seems like they're, you know, it's almost like, you know, I don't know, Cleveland Cavaliers or Warriors where they stockpile of teams. It feels like, you know, Dorsey, the new GM, is just going. He's on like a grab, just going to get all the guys that he thinks are like, you know, playmakers. Yeah,
right.
It's crazy.
It'll be interesting.
You're right. Drew Stanton is on the roster.
Right. I saw that I was going to say, if Baker Mayfield starts to kind of falter or panic a little bit, get in a little over his head, that Drew Stanton's your backup. And I was saying to you earlier, like, when's the last time you heard of him? I didn't even know he was still in the league unless I just totally missed it. I feel like the last time I heard of him was forever ago with the Cardinals.
Is that their only, that's the depth chart? He's the backup?
Yeah.
And they don't have, who's their third? Do they have one or they list it?
Hold on, let me look real fast.
Well, they also have Manny Agba at the end.
That's it.
He at defensive end.
Right.
Emmanuel Agba, but that's all they have there.
Oh,
They
no,
only have
sorry.
two of
It's
those
Baker
guys?
Mayfield and Drew Stanton. That's it. Right. So that, I don't know.
I'm sure there's some on the practice squad, but, Nick Foles is going. I'm just, as you say that, I'm scrolling through this list to see, I'm trying to think of what other quarterbacks are out there off the top of my head. Might be quicker. Well, Bortles got picked up. They're finalizing a deal like today for him to go to the Rams to be the backup.
Right.
Wow, really? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater stayed with the Saints. I wish the Giants would have made a better move on that.
Right.
Then that would have been the play.
Gotcha. Do you think that that's what the Giants, though, are definitely going to do, or look in the quarterback for in the draft, or no?
So, like I told you earlier, in years past, I've been living under the Jerry Reese area for over a decade. So, in years past, I might say, no, not at all. The Giants' move, if not staying put, would be to trade back, allocate picks, kind of like a Patriots, because that's kind of like the same mentality, or at least it was with the old owners, and take someone like Daniel Jones out of Duke, or stay put. Now I don't know. I mean, last year under Gettleman was just his first year or so, and he came in right before the draft, so it's not like he had a ton of time. This year is his first full year of time put in going into this draft.
Right.
So I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, he comes from the Panthers. I mean, they've had good picks and they've had bad in their years, So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, if the Giants don't do I think that we could get another year out of Eli? I think we're going to we're going through another year of Eli, whether we draft a quarterback or not.
Right. I think your fans are going to.
But if you don't get the heir apparent this year, the fans are going to go. The fans went nuts, and some of them are still a little irked that we didn't do it last year instead of Barkley. Now, I wasn't upset that we took Barkley. I wasn't impressed with the quarterback class. But that said, now that the season's over, I'm real glad we took Saquon Barkley.
I was going to say, you got to be happy with that
Yeah, but
pick.
there are some fans out there that are still a little hemming and hawing. It's like, what are you hemming and hawing about?
Yeah.
You've got to run. The problem is this, and I don't know if I'm really that impressed with this quarterback class either. It's like I said earlier. I said it at the beginning of the season after I was sitting there for the home opener against the Jaguars. Love Eli. Love him. Thank you. Go down to Giants lore. Ring of Honor, one of the greatest ever. It's done.
Right.
Okay, it's done. And right then and there, I said, just 2019, first pick of our first pick of the draft needs to be Justin Herbert, quarterback from Oregon. Mm-hmm. Now, halfway through the year, Herbert decided he was going to stay at Oregon.
Right.
At that point, it was you look and Haskins might have been the guy. But then you question even whether to do it. Herbert will be out next year. And Trevor Lawrence from Clemson the year after that.
Right.
See, the Giants take a quarterback that's going to be their quarterback for a long time.
Right.
I don't know if that's good. Haskins had 1 year as a starter, full year as a college starter, and NFL season's much longer.
Right.
And then my concern is that by the time we get to the quarterback we need that's going to be that guy, that we're going to have run, especially now that we have Odell gone, and here comes an F-bomb, that we're going to run the fucking wheels off of Saquon Barkley.
Right.
By the time we've, quote-unquote, rebuilt and got to where we're contending, for more than just the NFC East.
Yeah, you're going to warn him out.
What it used to be.
Right.
He's going to be done, and that worries me.
Right.
Quarterback's life expectancy isn't a lot, and after seeing how much they used him last year, and I loved everything he did and how they did it, but that was with Odell. Eli's going to be dumping it off to him every time.
Right. I mean, in your division have definitely made some interesting moves too, obviously with Bell coming there and Jordan Howard going to the Eagles,
That's, that they can't seem to find a running back. It's always
right.
It's been by committee there for quite some time now.
Right.
You know, even in drafting some guys, they haven't spent early picks, but I mean, then again, there hasn't been many of your Saquon. I mean, it's like every other year, every couple of years, there's a Todd Gurley,
right?
Saquon,
right?
You know,
I feel like we're probably in similar situations with our teams in a sense. You know, we've got older quarterbacks. I still think Ben's fine. Do I think he's going to last much longer? Hell no. But you know, he's just a big guy who can take a lot of hits, and he definitely can throw the ball.
It was the same exact year.
Right.
Same draft, the two of Eli
and Phillip Rivers, the three of them.
Rivers and what's his nuts in L.A. You said Rivers.
Yeah, Rivers. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Right. I remember the three of them coming out of him.
There were four of them. Who was it? It was Rivers. It was Eli because that was the trade.
Right, because it switched. I just thought it was the three of them. I thought it was Ben because Ben went, I think, 7th or 8th in that draft.
I don't know.
Again, and Ben's taken a ton of hits, but I still think that he's got a little bit of life left in him. It's been interesting. The comments that have been coming out, especially too with AB, who I'm truthfully disappointed in, but you know, they're mad saying that he's dictating. But the funniest thing was that for a long time, when he first came out, they said he wasn't talking enough and he wasn't being a leader. But you had older guys on that defense who already could do it for him. You know what I mean? You had the Harrisons and Palomalus who were vocal and could kind of lead it. Now he's trying to stand up and say, this is my team because he's been there long enough. And now you guys are pissed at him. I just think it's kind of an interesting dynamic. I'm not mad at Connor by any means. The kid's great. And he's got a good story.
Great story.
Right. And
great story.
And Juju Smith-Schuster.
He's a great individual.
Right. Love him.
But you were able to make it work with the two of them.
100%. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad by any means either. You know, Brown got his, panties in a ruffle.
On the division in your team in particular.
Okay.
So, because I have lots of questions, especially for someone as a fan. So, and we'll wrap everything you're saying into all this. But so, feelings with the Le'Veon situation. Happy, upset, sad, relieved. I mean,
there's a relief that it's done and that it's over with and that the rest of the team and everyone can sort of move past it. I think it's interesting that he took less money that was even offered to him, but I look at it that if he really didn't want to be there, part of me feels like AB got in his head. Honestly, there's a part of me that feels like that he just sort of was convinced that he deserved a ton more than they were even offering. And from what I understand, they made some great offers to him. He didn't want them. So fine, right? So if you didn't really want to be there, then we don't want you there.
Did he not want to be there? Or did his agent not want him, or make him, let's be honest, some of these guys, the agent is the brains of the operation. So even if they don't feel that way and the agent feels another way, the agent can keep telling it to them and telling it to them and telling it to them till they start to believe it themselves.
Right. I mean, that's a great point too. And it could be. I don't feel like it was him. I feel like it was influence from somewhere, truthfully. But if whoever made him not want to be there anymore, he doesn't want to be there anymore, fine. We got really lucky with having Connor there, who had better stats than Bell his first year. So I'm not mad at him by any means, if that's the case. I feel worse about losing Bell in a way than Brown. Now, I love Antonio Brown.
Really?
But
you feel worse about losing Le'Veon?
Yeah. I feel like with Brown that to me, it was like ego got to him big time. And he was sort of like a cancer on the team. Now, what I'll say too is that He's love Mike Tomlin. I love Mike Tomlin.
Well, that's coming next.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tomlin, to me, I'm really disappointed.
Tell me your feelings on him. Is he too buddy? I mean, that's my problem with Mike Tomlin. I think he's great and all that. It's got nothing to do with skin color, even when he got there. I thought he was a solid guy, solid coach.
Yeah.
And he could, relate to the guys a bit because he was younger. And obviously we're seeing a lot more of that with head coaches in the NFL.
Right.
And it's not just the high-powered, speedy offensive systems that they want to bring from their minds.
Right.
It's they're young and they can relate to these guys too.
Agreed.
So, but the situation that's transpired with Le'Veon and then Antonio, and let's be frank, whether it's due to his own transgressions or, saying stupid shit or whatever, like Ben sometimes gets a little, in the media for non-football stuff. So is that a loss of control by the coach for the leaders on the team to just run rampant like they do?
Yeah, that was going to be my point, that I love Tomlin, but I feel like last season, for whatever happened, he let it all get away from him. And I think it was that he was, in a way, trying to be too buddy-buddy, as you put it, or he just wasn't assertive enough as like, I am the coach and this is how it is. And I'm disappointed in him for that. I think he let AB get as crazy as he was being towards the end. I don't think, it's interesting what Oakland did by picking them up and picking up Perfect. I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic since they were bred to hate each other for a long time. And, AB came out saying, you're on the team, so, you put bygones be bygones, whatever. Right. But I don't know. I think for them, they're just trying to figure out how to make it work until they get to Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, can we just win a few more so that we get some fans who actually want to follow us to Vegas? Because I don't think that they're going to be some dynamic team over there. Derek Carr's not bad, but is he so great?
Hey,
I don't know.
If the whole thing with Arizona, going after Kyler Murray is a farce, don't put it out of the. I know it's Gruden, but don't put it out of question with a guy like Mike Mayock now on the staff, who used to sit in the seat, talking about the draft, to go take Kyler Murray at 3 for Oakland.
Yeah.
Well, because they could have him sit for a year behind Carr and learn. And then find suitors for Derek Carr. Someone will take him. Right.
It's true. It's a good point. But that's what I felt like Oakland was doing, was just trying to get enough names to make people want to be fans for a little while, to make it a contenders heading into Vegas.
What's the show they have? What is it called? Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
Now? That's where it should be in Oakland.
Yeah, agreed.
What a circus that would be.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. Back to the Steelers, I just feel like Tomlin let him get away from him. I think that if he can kind of get his shit together again this season and kind of show where that line is of like, yeah, I want to make you play for me, but I'm also your coach and this is how it goes. That I think I don't count them out yet. I don't have crazy high hopes, but I don't think
I would never count them out.
Right. It's because the Steelers.
The Steelers, like, the Giants, somewhat like the Patriots, and even like a Packer team are built differently, and all the way from the top of the organization down. You can never count them out.
Right.
Okay.
I think that division's been interesting. I think recently, I feel like none of the teams, obviously, especially with the Browns really being terrible, they've just kind of been enough above average to make someone makes the playoffs. You know what I mean? They haven't just been really great. So I'm interested to see what happens. And now too with Cincy,
Cincy, I think, is going to fall back. I think Baltimore. I love Lamar Jackson. I mean, I don't think he everybody thinks it's Michael Vick. It's not. Trust me. I saw the kid in college. He can sling the ball if it's right. You got to give him time. And I think it'll be great. I just think that they lost a lot on defense. They lost Mosley. T. Sizzles went to Arizona. I mean, you want to talk about a leader of a team, How do you replace Ray Lewis?
Right.
T-Suggs.
Yep.
Now he's gone. Flacco's gone. Like, I don't know what's going to go on there. Cleveland's going to be good. You saw it last year. They have good pieces.
Right.
They have a good, it looks like their coaching and moreover the general management is in place to make it happen. And so I think that division's going to be between Cleveland and Pittsburgh when it comes down to it.
I think it'll be interesting to watch. Since he still has a pretty decent offense though, and it's like what can they put together with the heat miser there, Andy Dalton, you never know. So every time I look at him I just think he's the heat miser from the Frosty.
The Santa Claus is coming to town?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, he does look like him with that
That's awesome.
big ass wide smile.
Right. Oh, I just seen that Golden Tate that you
Went
guys.
to the Giants.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
So we trade Odell Beckham and we pick up Golden Tate. How do I feel about that one?
Yeah.
We have, I think, a just as good younger slot receiver already in Sterling Shepard.
Right.
And that's Golden Tate's spot is the slot.
Right.
I guess they're going to try to, I don't think they're going to kick Tate outside. He's older.
Right.
I think Shepard's faster. So unless we go draft somebody for that wide, I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, Golden Tate for some reason is always that guy that I managed to pick up in my fantasy every year.
And he serves well. And see, that's why I think we got him.
Yeah.
One of the biggest complaints over the years or rumored complaints, rumblings was that Eli and Odell were not on the same page a lot. Odell didn't run the right routes or didn't run the way Eli wanted to all the time. Eli didn't put the ball like when sometimes things broke down, and Odell would try to make a play and Eli couldn't get. I mean, and that's sad. But I mean, keep in mind we never won a Super Bowl while Odell Beckham was on the team. As much of a superstar as he is, as much as I love him, and I'm not happy we sent him away. Right. We didn't. But I think that was one of the reasons we got Golden Tate. He was, renting a guy for a year, see how it does, see how he does with his age. He'll run good routes. He's got good hands. He's a big guy. Right. I mean, maybe not tall wise, but he's like thicker, like Anquan Bolden. Right. Rather than, the speedy, quick guy. Right. And I think Eli probably maybe had something to do with, hey, that guy'll.
I think he's reliable, and that's
He's reliable for someone like me. I don't need to go all the way downfield or like catch this guy. I'm too old. I'm not quick enough. I mean, that's what happened. That was the problem. Eli, even on not let alone deep putting the ball on him, but even just on crossing routes, he couldn't. He wasn't leading guys. They'd have to stop or reach back. Like an Odell Beckham that was so fast, and that's when I was like, oh, it's done.
Right. I think it's interesting. I feel like Eli deteriorated more than the other two in a way. Just watch him.
He was the more prolific one when the whole trade.
100%. And I mean, and I don't know if that was just for the name or not. And if, not that he was terrible by any means, but I just think it's interesting because even Ben, for how many times he's been hit, whether on the field or, falling off his stupid motorcycle.
How many Super Bowl rings does Ben have?
2.
2. So how many appearances?
4, I believe.
So Eli has 2 appearances, 2 rings. Ben has 4 appearances, 2 rings. See, so there's something to be said for that. Right. With considering he came out of Miami, Ohio, in the first round, but what teens maybe?
Right. No, I think he was. I feel like he was like 9 or 11, something.
He might have been. But it wasn't the Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning 1-2 trade.
No, that was the big talk of that year, I remember specifically. And I only remember it really because of how badly the Steelers needed a quarterback that I just remember paying attention to see kind of what would happen with that. But
it worked out pretty damn well.
Yeah, agreed.
14 years later or whatever.
Right. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Ben can still haul that thing down the field. Like, and there's not a question.
He can take a hit. I always thought, I call him Twinkle Toes. He for such a guy, he when he gets like moving around, he's like jittery and nimble on his feet. I don't know how he does it, but he can still do it, and he takes hits, and he stays upright.
I feel like he's had some of his better throws when he is moving around. Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it's interesting, too, that he's had so many guys that he's, come after him, and he can still shake them off and get the ball out. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think he's in it for another 3, 4, 5 years, but if we can even get another 2 out of him, I'd be pretty happy with that. I forgot Ingram went to the Ravens.
Yeah, Mark Ingram. I'm looking through this 101 list, and I can count maybe on one hand the number of players that the AFC North have taken in free agency. That's kind of the way it is. Right. I mean, especially if you take out Eifert was up for the Bengals, but they re-signed him. Yep. So if you took that out, You guys picked up Dante Moncrief at receiver. You guys were the busiest, I think, of all. Mark Barron for linebacker, which he's more of a safety, so I don't know what they'll do.
I equate Moncrief coming in almost just like your Golden Tate. That as soon as that happened, I was like, really? He's not bad by any means. He's not great, but I feel like he's just an older receiver who has some knowledge and will be good with our younger receivers. You still got Eli Rogers. You still got Washington.
Washington, if he can get straight, like catch a ball with this, because he needs to catch the ball with his hands. Not his body.
Yeah.
Okay? He's a good player. I don't know. But now sometimes, the guy came out, it was good in college. I thought it would translate. He had a great preseason leading up to last year. And he looked, he could be really good.
He's really fast. He's just got to catch the ball.
Out of the building.
Right.
Out of the building. This is going to be a big year for him.
Yeah.
You got Eli Rogers there. He's very solid.
Yeah.
You don't need superstars at every position.
Right.
Juju Smith-Schuster will become the superstar because he is that. He just had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell on that team.
Right. But he really was a breakout last year because everyone was double teaming Brown. So
even when
he had
they
that
had
chance
to switch over a few times.
Yeah.
And Antonio, I think, was out like a game or two this year.
Right.
And he got doubled, and he still made things happen.
Yeah, agreed. I think that
Crabtree's going from Baltimore.
Right.
Didn't they lose John Brown too, the other receiver?
Yes.
They lost both their receivers.
Yes. So I don't know So now you've got Lamar Jackson, but who the hell is he throwing to? Do you know? So that should be interesting. The other interesting thing, though, with the Steelers is that
they've got Willie Snead.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Their depth chart has Willie Snead as their wide receiver 1, backed up by Chris Moore in the 1 slot.
Yep.
Their wide receivers 2 and 3 first stringers are empty. Their second stringer for wide receiver 2 is Jordan Lasley. And their second stringer for wide receiver 3 is empty.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, where do you think they're going in the draft?
Oh, I hope defense. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what they always... that's the Ravens. But they will have to go DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, N'Keal Harry, A.J. Brown, one of these guys, man.
Right.
They're going to have to. I don't know how they can't.
Right.
Now, their depth at tight end, they have Nick Boyle at 1, Hayden Hurst at 2, Mark Andrews at 3, Max Williams at 4. What are they doing?
Right. That's stockpiling there.
Let's unload some weight at tight end. Why would you care? Oh, hold on a second. That is out of control. Are you serious?
Right. And what I was going to say was that on the flip side is that Steelers let go Jesse James, and we just kept Vance McDonald, which I'm not mad about.
No,
but
Vance is good, dude. He's better than Jesse.
Agreed, but I liked the 1-2 punch of them.
You've always had that.
Right.
You've always had that. Don't you have someone else though? Don't you have like Virgil Green or wait? Don't you have someone else? I can't remember. I'm just looking to see who's left at wide receiver after this. I didn't even think about that. God, Baltimore's got no receivers.
Oh, no, we have Grimble. Xavier
Grimble, that's right.
And then we actually have a third, Jake McGee. I don't know anything about him.
McGee! Hey, the Ravens can go pick Kelvin Benjamin up. I bet you they will.
Oh, that's...
Kelvin Benjamin going to the Ravens. Watch. They didn't re-sign Crabtree, and he's still out there. What are you doing?
Right.
Randall Cobb, Cowboys. Oh my goodness, that is something else.
Right.
That's a hot topic.
Oh, Jay Ajayi still isn't.
Jay Ajayi's out there.
Right.
Yeah, Adam Humphries got signed by the Titans, my Clemson boy.
That would be kind of interesting.
John Brown went to the Bills. Jamison Crowder was loose. He went to the Jets. Yeah, so it looks like the guys that are higher on this list were picked up because it's ranked based on the best free agents, and obviously the better ones went early.
Right.
But you still got Yeah.
Oh, C.J. Anderson's still out there too.
C.J.'s in. He did. He may get picked back up by the Rams though.
Right.
Because I don't know what's going on with this thing, this potential arthritic condition with Gurley. That's not good, man.
Yeah.
Eesh. Yeah, man. The only, man. The only receiver out there I can really see is, besides Crabtree, who they let go of.
Right.
So I doubt they're going to try to make a bid to get him back. It's Kelvin Benjamin. Wah, wah, wah. Good luck with that.
Right.
They're going to be drafting receivers for sure, too.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the route that they go for.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. Yeah, again, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the Steelers and Cleveland in that division. That's just my guess, just because I think the other teams will take a step back. But I'll be honest, I've thought that years before, and it's just one of those divisions that typically it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland at the end of the year. What was the final standings? Was that it? Was that the final standings for last year?
I think it might have been. It was
It was Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But, so, I interchanged the top two and the bottom two.
Right.
Right?
Which is really easy to do in that division.
Yes,
so,
very much so.
Yeah, it's kind of the easy one. For a long time it was the Steelers dominating, and then they kind of went back and forth. And then I just feel like the past couple of years, they've just all sort of leveled out. So I'm interested to see if we've got one that kind of takes over again at some point, and I don't know who that might be. So
we obviously, everybody, the way it's looking and the way it's shaken out is thinking Cleveland may actually start to be a team to contend with, so maybe they're going to be that. You know
what, I wouldn't be mad at that though. Just because
they have good fans, man.
They're the most loyal
like when
ever.
The Cleveland Cavaliers won and it's like Cleveland hadn't won like a championship since the Indians, or I don't freaking know. I don't care. I was like, I really don't care.
Right.
But the Cleveland Browns, I remember back when I was a kid in the 80s watching that team, and the dog, that was the dog pound.
Right.
And those people are still out there and back in their team, and generations beyond those old folks back in the 80s that were such fans that have raised their families and so they've sucked.
Right.
And they still think this is our year. That's the way it should be.
Right, agreed.
The Giants suck right now too. The Cleveland's better than them. I still love the Giants.
You know what's interesting to talk about the fans then is that how loyal those Browns fans are, that they sucked for so long and that they're still there. Being a Steelers fan coming up out of Pennsylvania and then living in New England for as long as I did. When I first lived there, no one cared that I was a Steelers fan because, truthfully, most of the people in New England were either Giants or Steelers fans because the Patriots sucked so bad that the only thing that they ever showed on TV were Steelers or Giants games, okay? So there was no loyalty there. All of a sudden, Patriots get good. They start winning. And this is ironic coming from a Red Sox fan that I am. The Patriots fans are the worst fans ever because they got good quick, and now they're... here's mine, assholes, because they hated that I was a Steelers fan. It's funny that they had no loyalty when they sucked, but now it's like, oh, friggin' Patriots. So I'll give the credit to the Browns as far as that goes because...
Yeah. True fans.
100%. And it'll be nice just for the division because it'll just be, not a guaranteed loss, or win, I should say, for everybody else and a guaranteed loss for them. It'll be good to have a little more competition going in there. And truthfully, if they actually somehow put it together, I feel like I would never be mad that they won. I would just be like, good for them and good for their
honestly,
fans.
They did it the way our teams would do it with, the past few years when they've had the draft picks and in free agency, they usually try to focus a good bit on the trenches.
Right.
Your Myles Garrett shit way back when they grabbed Joe Thomas, but then even in more recent years, getting a guy like Kevin Zeitler, who's now with the Giants, who spent, I think his whole career, I think he was drafted by them. They do focus on the trenches before getting crazy with all these guys around them.
Right.
So, they've had their poor carousel of quarterbacks there by all means, but Yeah, it'd be good to see him do well. I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Right. Agreed.